university, at camp, she'll have situations. And last year we tried to sign up for it, but nobody else signed up for it. I was so upset because it's just a great thing to learn situational basketball. 10 seconds left, what do you do? Point 0.4 seconds left, what do you do? Another thing is that if I'm driving to the basket, that guard, that wing knows how to slide down into the corner. So if I'm attacking, I might not have my attack, but I always know there's a guard sitting here in the corner that I can dish to. Movement in the flow of the game. Our kids are losing that. And then the ones that do have that flow of the game concept, look what schools they're going to. And we question and we wonder why some inner city schools, and I'm even saying out in the county, Penwood is one, even though we're not considered inner city, but it's a majority low economic area in that area, Darby, Yate, and Colwyn. So you look at the schools that our kids are going to, Division 1, Division 2, but you look at the schools they're coming out of. Start to think about what schools are they coming out of, and why, if we have so much talent in all these other areas, are our kids not being selected? And that's what made me want to come back and push the fundamentals and get our kids to understand and networking with college coaches. I just sent a email to Vivian Stringer asking for her to be my mentor, because you got to reach out. You have to. That's another thing with these trainers. Who is your mentor? Who is your mentor? If you're going to do this thing for real, just like we teach our kids, you got to have a mentor. You can't just get out here and say, I'm a trainer. You just can't. You can't. That's just like if I wanted to be.
What it sounds like is that they can and they are, and unfortunately, it's people are being sucked in, and as parents, what we need to say to these parents is, check references. You need to know where your trainer is coming from. Okay, because. Just because I say I'm a trainer doesn't make me any good.
You're absolutely right. And that goes to, I go to coaches clinics. These trainers should be out here learning about kinesiology, all different types of things. Because even with if you're training a female athlete, there are certain types of movements that you can incorporate in that warm-up that will definitely help her leg movement, because a lot of times is that we have issues with those MCL and ACL tears and things like that. So when we warm up that actin and myosin in our muscles and we get it going, it's actually very beneficial for females because of our footwork. A lot of times we lack on the footwork because we don't focus on it a lot. That's just like upper body strength. We lack on those things. Mm-hmm. So these are things we need to hone on, because the way you're going to train a guy, it is somewhat a little bit different. It's somewhat a little bit different with movement.
And it should be.
It should be, but a lot of times, some female players or some people would say, oh, there's no big difference. But the way that we warm up, that extra, 10 minutes that we spend elongating those muscles is a plus for us, because we aren't used to utilizing that type of lateral movement.
Well, let me say this, and I'm no scientist.
No.
But I know that men and women are built different. Mm-hmm. And as such, doesn't it make sense that we would need to do some things different during a warm-up, during an exercise, to make my body be able to do what I needed to do for this particular situation?
Agreed, but just from, I've heard from several female athletes, it's like, no, this is no difference.
Well, I think that's because they don't want to be looked at as
different.
Right. You want to be a basketball player, not necessarily a female basketball player. But it is part of who you are, and you can't change that.
Yes, and you're absolutely right. That's another reason of why, like, if you ever come to my games, I'm always dressed up. My high school games, I believe it is very important to hold on to your feminine side. It's very important. Me standing at 6'1" with heels, clearly I'm 6'3", 6'4" with heels on. And, a lot of times, me being tall, women are always like, oh, she's a guy, or she carries herself this way, or she's this, or she's that. And they judge you because of your height. And with my girls, I walk up and down my sideline with 3-inch, 4-inch heels, because I feel like no matter what, I'm not going to allow someone to label me just because of my height or the way that I carry myself. And I think that it's always important to still hold on to that, no matter.
It's so funny because we said this last night. We were watching the championship game, and we were saying, I said, I understand that the players may want to look more feminine because they play a sport that does not necessarily have a feminine connotation to it. So I get it. I absolutely get it. If you're a female softball player, baseball player, same thing. We think baseball, we think men. So you do want to make sure that you have a softer look, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I totally understand. It was funny because I noticed that after the game, Dawn Staley took off her pumps and had her sneakers on, but during the game, she was...
Yes, that's me at halftime. I step out my shoes sometimes at halftime, but I think that it's very important that's once again with image.
Right.
It's very important to be okay with who you are and own it. Own it.
And I'm going to tell you, she has on heels. I knew that she was tall, but hey, I'm short. And
Dawn Staley's short. Dawn Staley's short.
Being short?
She's short.
I don't mind.
She's short. Dawn Staley is short though.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
but when you came in, I never would have said 6'3", and the truth is,
with heels,
right, with the heels, and you do have on heels.
Yeah.
But I also you don't seem imposing to me. Like when I think 6'3", I think wow.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that. And she has a very feminine look, and but I do know, I have a coworker who is probably about 6 feet tall, and she refuses to wear heels. And I told her, girl, I would put some heels on, and own it.
Yeah. It's very hard though. At third grade, I wore a size 9 shoe. At probably 6th to 7th grade, I was in like 6 feet 6'1". So it's very hard, because at that, when we have something called YEAA, and I was the first girl to play YEAA basketball. All the guys I were going against just demolished me, but I was always taller than them. Third grade, I was just really huge. It's crazy. So what I would, to say that is that, as you're coming up, it's kind of, you don't glorify your height. Because you're still growing into your body, you're a kid, and you're just like, okay, I know I'm bigger than everybody else. And people really, back in the day, they would separate you. Like, I didn't have a lot of, guy friends. I didn't have a lot of girlfriends. So, kind of I probably got, 5th, 6th grade. And then I started playing basketball in 3rd grade. So, that kind of drew. But everybody knew that the majority of my friends during that time, 5th, 6th grade was guys because I guess my height. That's what I had.
Played with them, though.
Yeah, I couldn't be a cheerleader. It just wasn't. You were too big to be a cheerleader. But now, you see how times have switched. But now you have cheerleaders that's 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" with curves. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And cheerleaders didn't have curves.
Exactly. And so you look at this size and you're like, where do I fit in? And automatically they just throw you on the court and say, this is where you belong. This is where you belong. You're big. You're going to be big. This is where you need to be. Right. And that kind of stuck, that stigma, for a very long time. And I think it's starting to chip away nowadays. But I think that is a big thing that a lot of women had to definitely deal with.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that.
Take a short break.
Okay.
When we come back, we will pick this back up.
Sorry.
Listening to SportsRap, Heat 100 Radio.
Oh, he's never good at breaks. Don't worry.
I get long-winded.
Yeah, I'm never.
He's never